Internet enables increasing waves of information and innovation. It's overwhelming, particularly to those of us who recognize it, those of us who knew what it was like before. Young people are overwhelmed by everything anyway. They're overwhelmed by adolescence, by all this stuff that's coming. So that's just another part of growing up. But a recent small study by Professor Larry Rosen of California State University, he found teens harmful to their learning, that is, harmfully distracted by electronic devices, unable to focus for more than a few minutes. Those who checked Facebook once every 15 minutes got a lower grade on a subsequent test. They went into homes and said, we want to watch you study. And they watched for 15 minutes, and then they kept track of those students' performance in the course later on. And they found that any student who checked Facebook during that time of 15 minutes, they got a lower grade than the students who did not check Facebook. That was a simple one. They found some students would check every 2 minutes. Check every 2 minutes. Of course, and their grades suffered because they just did not focus. They could not focus on the material. They were so distracted, it was too much to think, maybe some friend is writing to me. Now, we had this before. Did we have this in our childhood? Maybe the telephone will ring. I would worry about the time. Maybe I would run and go to the telephone and dial. But that's over there. That's somewhere else. This is on the screen. It's on the computer. It's right there with me. It's right there on the very device that I'm using. So it's very difficult to avoid it. And it's something that we need to teach children how to do. We can teach them to focus. And many children do express this. Oh, I need to cancel my Facebook account. Or I need to stop for one day. I need to stop it. And many children express that desire. It's very difficult to do, especially when you're a teenager, young person, very anxious to fit in the society and anxious to hear what your friends are doing. It's very difficult to make that decision on your own. That's where we come in for guidance. This is very much due in part to the marshmallow effect. If you know about the marshmallow effect, which comes from a study in the 1970s that started there, where a scientist put a marshmallow in the room and said, now I'm going away for a while, and you can choose. You can eat the marshmallow now, or if you wait until I come back, I will give you 2 marshmallows. And the study began first as just an attempt, it was just someone thinking up some study. And he found that maybe 2/3 of the children could wait. They would wait and receive 2 more, and 1/3 could not wait. They had to have that marshmallow. They would eat the 1 marshmallow, they don't care. About 20 years after that study, the same professor, his daughter asked, says, whatever happened? She was in the study. She was a 4-year-old, and she said, whatever happened to those children? He said, that's a good idea. So he had his students follow up on those children who had been in the marshmallow test, and he found a very strong correlation between those who could wait for the marshmallow were successful. Those who could not wait for the marshmallow were more likely to be divorced, out of school, in jail, no job, those kinds of things. So that was quite a correlation, and many studies have been done since then. And if you look on YouTube, you can see many very funny videos where parents have done this on their own children and videotape them while they're doing it. But it is something that now psychologists are studying how we can teach this to children, how we can teach this ability to delay gratification, the ability to wait. And part of that has to do with distractions, which is the other element that we're talking about. One researcher that I've been reading recently is Sherry Turkle, who has written a lot about the internet. She started in 1984. She wrote a book that's saying how wonderful these are. Computers are so wonderful. The internet is great. We'll have communication everywhere. People can talk and they can experiment, and it's just a wonderful thing. The title now, she writes, Alone Together. This refers to the now common phenomenon of people sitting in the same room, but each person's attention is glued to a device that draws them elsewhere. Have you seen this? No. I'm wondering. I don't see anyone with their BlackBerry.
Everybody's shaking
their
their heads.
There's a joke in U.S. business meetings. People are in the business meeting. They're all praying. So, alone together. And this Professor Turkle is worried. She worries about the seductive effects of technology, both on our time and on what it means to be human. She worries that the gadgets and apps and robots are diverting our young people from the patently difficult task of forming their psychological self, learning to converse, learning to navigate human feelings. Why talk when you can text? Or when the internet or the robot never argues with you. You have to learn to deal with people, with arguing and with conversing, with negotiating with people. For my part, I remember, as parents, casually speaking about television, the electronic babysitter. We used it with our children. We would set them in front of the television, and I know it's not so good, but they were quiet and they enjoyed it. But now we all have electronic babysitters that are even more active than the television. They're interactive to comfort us when we are anxious or when we are elderly. But those are not real people. Real people have feelings, and real people can empathize, but the machines cannot. And that's maybe something that we might be losing, and we have to think about that with the technology. Now, you all received a questionnaire. Please take a few minutes to fill that out or finish that. And I want to talk more about what resources we have to guide our children and then come up with some recommendations. Have you all finished the survey? Just checking. If you haven't. I'm actually, later on we'll have time to talk about it, but frankly this is kind of a research survey of my own. I will take these results and I will compile these results, and I'm going to issue the same survey to my students. And then we'll have a little comparison. All anonymous, of course. A comparison of what the parents think and what the students think. Now, I'm teaching grades 7, 8, and 9. But that's fine. This is a fair research, small research study here. And as I note on the paper, if you would like for me to send you the results, just put your email address in the bottom. Do you have any questions about that survey? Any questions about the questions? This is very much about what you think the children that you care for, what are they doing? How much are they doing? And now they may be very young, but fill it out still as what you think they're doing. continue on, and you can write there, or if you have any questions about the survey. I'll talk now about a few resources, some resources that we have that can help guide your children. I've listed the websites on the resource page for you, the handout for you to take home. Allow me to summarize these. The FOSI, Family Online Safety Institute, is a US website.